Stack Overflow is dead. When Stack Overflow first started in 2008, 4,000 questions were asked in its first few months. Now, in 2026, it is the exact same amount. 17 years of growth completely erased. And yes, of course, it's because of AI, but I also think Stack Overflow had its own problems, and this graph tells that story. So let's talk about this and why this is scary for the future of the web. I mean, man, the new web is really starting to suck. Let's go through this graph in stages, as it really does tell the journey of Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow starts in 2008, and until 2014, you can see its growth is great. It peaks at around 200,000 new questions a month. And I mean, it was great, right? There was finally a place for crowdsourced problem solving, and people actually liked helping others, and the points gamified it and made people feel like experts. Software felt friendly, and no one can deny how useful Stack Overflow was. I mean, there was always jokes that developers literally stopped working if Stack Overflow was down. I bet you wouldn't even notice if it went down today. To me, it was second to Wikipedia for crowdsourced knowledge. Another great place for developer knowledge is this channel, so subscribe because apparently 80% of you aren't, and we are so close to 100,000. 2014 is also where the rapid growth stops, and ChatGPT is still 8 years away from release. So what happened? Well, if you've used Stack Overflow after 2014, you probably already know the answer to this. It was the moderation. 2014 is when Stack Overflow implemented better moderation tools, more efficient question closing, and faster removal of low-quality content. And in theory, all of this made sense with how big Stack Overflow was getting. It's definitely not an easy task to moderate a platform like that. You want to maintain a high signal-to-noise ratio to keep the answers actually useful. But just a single Google search for Stack Overflow moderators, and you'll see what the opinion of this change was. I remember personally being fearful of asking dumb questions on there when I started my coding journey, as I always saw threads were closed for duplicate, off-topic, unclear what you're asking, did you even try searching? And I mean, at the time, I was around 13 when I first started coding, and my school's IT lesson was, can you open Microsoft Word? I'm not even joking, I had to do a test on that. So I basically had nowhere else to go to ask these dumb questions. I get I was probably just an annoying kid, but I think the point system could have solved this on its own. To me, it just started to feel like you had to be in the inner circle of Stack Overflow users to actually use the platform. But I also do see an argument for why they need this moderation. The co-founders were terrified of becoming Yahoo Answers. The co-founder Jeff Atwood actually admitted to this, saying, "We're strict about this because we've seen what happens when systems are not explicit about their goals. This way lies madness, this way lies Yahoo Answers." So you can almost think of the point of Stack Overflow is not to help the person asking the question, but to prioritize helping those who would later reach the question via Google. It was supposed to be high friction, and therefore it was supposed to have a high standard for the questions and the answers. And yes, I think it did work a little bit. Every time I Googled a problem, Stack Overflow was usually the top, and I usually got an answer. Stack Overflow was pretty high quality. But also, how many times did you reach a Stack Overflow post, see it was closed for duplication, go to the original, and it was either not the fix that you needed, or it was just completely outdated? This was that problem. Software moves really fast. If we look for web dev questions, a lot of them are going to be related to Internet Explorer or jQuery. And that doesn't matter when I'm asking a question in 2020, and their opinion was that you just go back and update the answer on the original question, but I think that's just a bad user experience all round. This comment on Hacker News summarizes it really well. Every now and then I'd get a new notification about someone telling me I was completely wrong and should be embarrassed. Look, my time-traveling friend, that answer was perfectly reasonable when I wrote it 16 years ago. I'm not going to go back and fix all my old suggestions to keep them up to date. People just want to find the latest question and answer, so just let a new one exist, and don't expect people to go back to that old thread to keep it updated. The moderation problem got bad enough that Stack Overflow did acknowledge it themselves in a blog post in 2018 titled "Stack Overflow isn't very welcoming, it's time for this to change." Even they admitted that too many people experience Stack Overflow as either a hostile or elitist place, especially new coders. It just feels like Stack Overflow could have done a little bit better if the moderation was a little softer, and I think this graph shows that. The questions just start to slowly decline, only having a peak in 2020 when everyone was in lockdown, and I assume they couldn't easily ask a colleague. But another interesting thing about this period is after the lockdown, the questions start to decline faster than before. And again, ChatGPT still hasn't come out yet. Now, I don't really know the explanation for this faster decline. The only thing I can think of is the dark horse in this discussion, which is Discord, Slack, and Reddit. Now, Reddit is an okay place for software answers, but I still don't find it that good. The worst experience over there is finding the exact issue that you're having, seeing a comment with the answer deleted, and a comment under that saying solved. It is incredibly annoying. But then we also have Discord and Slack, where each community and tool seems to be creating their own space for their own experts to answer questions, and I really like these developer communities. They are really friendly, and I find they're way nicer to beginners, and beginners tend to get pushed in the right place in a much nicer tone. The only issue with them is that we've lost the ease of finding an answer, and the knowledge is just now siloed. Discord doesn't appear on Google, and I can't be expected to be in every single developer Discord and know the right one to find a solution to my problem. There is actually a super cool tool aiming to fix this called Answer Overflow, made by Reese, and it just aims to make these Discord threads searchable, and I would love it if every single Discord starts to use this, and if Google starts to rank these answers highly, but I don't think we're there yet. Now, going back to our graph, we are very close in this journey to the point where ChatGPT is released, but something kind of funny that isn't shown on this graph is that the original founders of Stack Overflow sold it to private equity for $1.8 billion in June 2021 before LLMs came out. That is some incredible timing, so props to them on that. But now we have reached AI's impact, November 30, 2022. This is the day that ChatGPT was released, and every issue that I just mentioned about Stack Overflow is the advantage of ChatGPT. Most importantly, we had instant answers and no judgment. You can ask the most basic question and it won't call you an idiot, it will just give you the answers. I really wish I had this when I first started out coding, although I do wonder how much I would have actually been learning other than just copy and pasting the answer that ChatGPT gives me. Regardless, you can see on the chart that AI is the final nail in the coffin. Questions declined rapidly, and we're now here back at the beginning. This is just quite a sad story to me because it's not one of a company simply becoming outdated and being replaced with a better, newer competitor. This is just way worse. The problem is ChatGPT and LLMs wouldn't be what they are today without Stack Overflow. All of those years of human expertise, carefully curated answers, upvoted solutions, debates in the comments, the collective brains of millions of developers essentially just got stolen for free, and it's ironic that Stack Overflow built the training data that created its own replacement. And I also see this as just another story in the trend of taking public information that the internet made as a community and causing it to be gatekept or paywalled in the future. We've already seen big examples of this. The Reddit API became stupidly expensive to try and stop LLM scraping, leading to apps like Apollo shutting down, which I absolutely loved, and the same thing goes for the Twitter API. These sites just realize they have so much data that it benefits them not to let it be extracted by someone else and instead be used by them. And we've even seen signs of this on Stack Overflow. They used to provide data dumps of the site, so if the company ever turned evil, the community could rebuild, but even that quietly stopped. And it's probably so they could pay all that knowledge, and as expected, they partnered with OpenAI to provide API access, and we're even working on an Overflow AI, although oddly, I can't seem to find out what's happened to this one, as the page here just goes to a 404. So there we go, this is the internet in 2026 and beyond, and it's getting scary. AI is starting to change the entire way that we've used the web in the last 20 years, and I'm not so sure it's for the better. There are some positives of this story, I suppose, which is communities like Discord are awesome places to hang out, but there's a whole lot of negatives in here, and that's not even mentioning what AI is doing to art, music, and videos. I really want to know what you think in the comments. Did you have a positive experience on Stack Overflow, and do you have any optimism for the future of the web? Let me know, and while you're down there, subscribe, and as always, see you in the next one.